But they're good. Yeah, Cuba's definitely good. Yeah.
What do you think is the difference? Now let's talk internationally. What do you think is the difference between the level or the athletes that are competing at top 3 or 4 teams in the world compared to the Canadian athletes?
Well, the thing is that we start late. Like in Canada, we start in European countries. They're coming like when they're one, they're giving a volleyball. It's like this is what you're doing.
Yeah.
And the sport is big over. There's no pro leagues in North America. All the pro leagues are in Japan and all over Europe and so forth. So there's no pro leagues in Canada. So that already you're at kind of a disadvantage in that sense. And then not to mention when an athlete first starts playing the game, they're like 8 years old.
Yeah.
Not to say that's too late, but when athletes are over there they're playing like 2-3 years old. They're getting used to it.
Yeah, it's no different than the evolution of like mixed martial arts, for example, because when it started blowing up, it was more older guys. Like they started when they were like, 14, 15. And as time went on in the evolution of the sport, you're seeing people like, they're becoming black belts at, 16 years old sometimes, which, that's another conversation. I don't always agree with handing those out. But the level, my point being is because they were exposed to the sport so early, the level is constantly going higher and higher and higher. So I guess for what you're saying is that volleyball really, if it's introduced more at a younger age, then we're going to see more development, right?
Yeah, and it's tough. Like, I mean, in Ontario, it's nowhere near as big as it is in California.
Yeah.
Mind you, population densities and stuff like that, I get that. Well, but in the U.S., it's way bigger than it is in Canada.
Weather has a big deal to do with it, too.
You're absolutely right, because you can play on the beach out in the South, but over here, that doesn't unless it's an indoor facility, you're not playing on the beach anytime soon.
Exactly, and because I know I go to Woodbine Beach here in thing all the time.
Yeah.
They have some pro leagues that go on there, too.
That's right.
But unless you have an indoor, beach facility, like, do they have those in Toronto?
Yeah, there's a few.
There's a few of them, but they're not like the fact that I even had to ask you shows that they're not. It's not like you can drive. Oh, look, that's an indoor beach volleyball place. Like, right.
And it's different. It's not like basketball. Basketball, you get a hoop, you're good to go. You play by yourself on the driveway. You can't do that with volleyball. It's not. There's no hockey. You get a net, you play on the driveway. You can't do that with volleyball. So it's tough.
Yeah, you need a team, and you need a group of people to play. You can't.
Yeah, you need at least 4 to like set up something.
So in terms of Canada's athletes compared to who won the Olympic gold last time?
France.
What would Canadian athletes on that level need to do in order to aspire to be the team like?
That's tough. You know what? I gotta say, like all 8 teams in that Olympics were really good.
Yeah.
Like they were all really pretty much equal. I think it came down to errors. It came down to experience, a little more experience on that level. Because on our men's team, we don't have a lot of Olympic experience.
Yeah.
So it came down to a little bit of experience, and honestly, there some of the best players in the world are not Canadian.
Yeah.
So that when you have really, really good players like LeBron James, Jordans, etc., like they're gonna be, like on France, for example, they have one of the best volleyball players in the world.
Yeah. So
it is what it is.
Yeah. And now, what is the rule in terms of like I don't know that's why I'm at. What's the rule in terms of competing professionally on like the tour, the beach volleyball tours or whatever, and then competing for like your country or locally?
Well, nothing happens. You go compete. You like the seasons. The seasons are now finishing up overseas. Okay. So the pro seasons are all finishing up now, and the Olympics and all the summer games and all that stuff happen in the summer. So after they finish with their pro teams, if they make the national team, if they're invited to try out or invited to be on the national team, the guys will have a choice of doing that. If they don't, they have the summer off.
Now, what's the pay like for those athletes? Is it enough to make a living, or are they?
Well, for volleyball, yeah, like volleyball, it's not a lot. Like here's what happens with volleyball. It's a little different. So when you go out to Europe, they pay for a lot for you. Like they'll pay for your housing, they'll pay for you'll have like a food allowance. They'll sometimes they'll give you a car. A lot of situations they give you a car. They give you everything, and then you have your pay. But it's all 1-year contracts, 1 to 2 year contracts.
So it's nothing guaranteed. No.
No,
No
it's not
real
like a
guarantee.
6 year deal, whatever. And like you'll make like a 50, $60,000, you'll make like 50, 60K
Yeah.
as a regular athlete, which isn't bad. And once you get kind of higher up there, and the leagues differ too. Like depending on the league, you'll make more money depending on the league.
Yeah.
Um, like even, and I'm talking Canadian dollars, like 40, $50,000 Canadian dollars. And then once you get up there, you can make
So
you'll make your six figures.
so 40, 50 Canadian, so that means 25 US.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
30K US.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and it depends on the league too.
so basically they make as much as a carded Olympian athlete playing
Yeah.
professional volleyball.
We
So
I don't know what Canada pays their Olympic players. Actually, I lied. I don't think Canadian players get paid at all to play on the national team. They
Jesus
just get
Christ.
things. In
Yeah.
fact, I think you got to pay to try out. I think it might even cost them money, and then they'll get reimbursed, or they'll get like an allowance for something when they go out, but they don't get paid to play.
That's fucking ridiculous.
It's not like the U.S. where
No.
they'll get paid.
Well, yeah,
No, these guys
no,
don't get
like
paid.
I remember when I was in university, there was we had a track athlete. He competed for the Canadian team, and he was a carded Olympian, and he got 15 grand a year.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
How in the heck? Like I could say so many cuss words to say, how in the heck? I'm gonna use heck though. Do you expect an athlete to compete at the highest level for 15 grand a year? Now you're telling me that you have national level volleyball players who are dedicating their life to represent Canada and they get nothing.